All right, for this tip, I want to give you some information about how to set up your menu function and how to do the inputs. It's a little bit not obvious, so I want to show it to you. So I'm not going to, of course, go through everything, but you want to print a menu out and you want to get an input about that menu. That's easy, right? Here's the part that's maybe a little not obvious. You might think to yourself, oh, okay, they choose item 1, which is going x to the y power, and then we should send it to a function like x to the y function, and then then up here we already had created our definition of x to y, and then you can just go from there and start doing the things you want to do for your input. um, the reason that's not great, I mean, that works, but really we want to make a function that doesn't, the function itself doesn't have inputs. You don't want to say every time you want to do x to the y, you want to ask them for an x and a y, because maybe you already know the numbers that you want to use. You don't necessarily need input. So what you want to do is down here, after they choose function, like after they choose it, that's what they want to do. Then you want to ask the inputs down here. So you might say x equals, and you could do an int or float, and do something like that, and of course do the y as well. And then what you're going to do is, so instead of just saying x to y, is now you can say x to y, and you can say, send it the x and y that are from this input. So that up here you can say we're getting two things. Now you could call those things x and y. Since the function is called x to the y, maybe it makes sense to call these x and y. Well, maybe down here, just to kind of show you what you can do, you call it num1 and num2, and we send it num1 and num2. The point I'm trying to make is, remember that variable scope says that down here what you call them in here has to do with what you're calling them in this part of the program, and what you're calling them up here has to do with what you rename them here. The values are the same, then the names do not have to be the same, because these are local to here and these are local to here. And then even more so, once you make your x to the y function, what you want to do is you want to say return answer, or whatever you call it, whatever this happens to be for your answer. And down here what you do is you say something like the result equals x to the y, so that this is saying send back the information, and this is saying store that information in here, and then you can say print result, and it will tell you the answer. So that's how you want to set up. This is, a proper function now. It sends two parameters, it receives two parameters, it sends back the results of the function, it stores those results in a variable down here. And that's how functions work. You call them with parameters, it works through the stuff, and then you get those results here. If you want to see something like that in action, take a look at the tip about how to make random numbers further on down the page, and you can see that there's a built-in function to make random numbers, and it works exactly the same way, except that we just don't know what the function is up here. But the way we use it will look very similar to this.